In this video, I'm going to be releasing the updated 2023 version of my do-it-yourself investor toolkit. I'm going to be going over all the features in this spreadsheet and some of the new features that were not in the last version of the do-it-yourself investor toolkit. You can see we're currently looking at our investment dashboard. The spreadsheet has a dividend dashboard. It has a dividend calendar, a daily dividend calendar. We're going to be able to track our individual stock positions, our crypto positions. We are going to have a stock watch list. And we are also going to be able to project out what our future portfolio is going to look like. This is one of the most complete dividend tracking tools in all of the internet. I'm going to be showing you exactly how it works in this video. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll start by zooming in. And we have our main dashboard right here. We're going to be able to see things like our portfolio value, portfolio cost, and we can see our dollar gain and loss and our percent gain and loss here. Now, one of the new features that I have added to this spreadsheet is we're going to be able to see what our gain and loss looks like when we include dividends. A lot of people that follow my channel are very dividend minded like myself, so we can see what our dollar gain and loss is when we include the dividends we've received and what our percent gain will be, since dividends play a large role in overall gains over time. So this is a good way to compare where you're at without dividends and when you do include those dividends over time. Now, if we come over here to the left, we can see our breakdown by stocks right here. We can see value, gain and loss, percent gain and loss, or dividend income from stocks, and our portfolio dividend yield. But then we can see we're also tracking our crypto right here, and then we can see our cash position as well. So when we scroll down, we have a chart where we can see our allocation by cash, our allocation by crypto, and our allocation by stocks. Come down here, we can see things like the total amount of holdings in our portfolio. We have a chart here for cost versus our market value for each of the positions in our portfolio. We have a growth chart, as we can see right here, so we can see how much each position has grown. If we come back up here, you can see two different cool features. We can see how markets are moving today right here. So if we wanted to look at the Dow Jones, we could click here. We can see the days change, the days percent change, the volume, and we can see how it's performed over the last 2 years. So we can see that for like the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. Come over here, we can see our allocation by each individual position right here. Now, this is one of the new features right here to the right. I'll go ahead and zoom out just a little bit more so you can see it. But we can see our total loss amount versus our total win amount. So if we come down here, we can see out of our losing positions, we've lost about $148 in this example, and our winning positions have gained about $221. So this is just kind of a cool way to see how these two kind of play into each other. Now, if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see our stock allocation by individual industry. So in this example, it looks like real estate takes up a large amount of our portfolio at about 42.7%. We can also see energy, technology, and financial data automatically loads in. So if we come over here, we can also see our future portfolio outlook, and all of that comes from our dividend portfolio projection that we saw over here. So if we jump back over to our investment dashboard, we can see what our portfolio will look like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years from now. And we can see what our yearly dividends will look like, our total dividend income over that time will look like, and what our portfolio value will look like. And the really cool thing about this is we can see what it will look like when we do not reinvest dividends, and we can also see what it will look like when we do reinvest dividends. Now, before we jump forward and look at the dividend dashboard, it's really important to realize that this dashboard is completely automated. So if we actually jump over to our stocks tab, I'll come here and zoom back in. And essentially all we have to do to load in the data for our stocks tab, let's say I wanted to buy Microsoft, all I would do is plug in the ticker for Microsoft. Let's say I bought 10 shares at a purchase price of $255 per share and hit enter, and you can see all of this data from Microsoft is going to automatically load in. We have our price, our cost, market value, our days change here, our growth, our 1-year trend line. We can see exactly how much they pay out per share in dividends, dividend yield, and our expected yearly dividend income from that position, and our industry. So when we jump back over to our investment dashboard, and we'll go ahead and zoom back out a little bit more, we can see Microsoft will now be reflected in our dashboard. We can see right here, Microsoft takes up about 22% of our portfolio. We can see the cost versus market value for Microsoft right here. We can see our gain on Microsoft, and it's also reflected in all of these charts right here, as we can see as well. So let's go ahead and jump back over to our dividend dashboard here, and I'll come here and we'll zoom in. We can see things here like our expected yearly dividend income, our all-time dividend income, our average monthly dividends, and our portfolio dividend yield. We can see our portfolio value over time. We can see our historical monthly dividend income over time, our dividend income by industry. So this is a way where you can see exactly where your dividend income is coming from. It looks like in this scenario, 43% of our dividend income is coming from the financial sector. Here we have a chart for our dividend yield on cost, so we can see at the time we purchased these assets, what dividend yield did we get from them? Then of course, we want to be able to see how much dividend income we're getting from each stock. So we can see it looks like in this scenario, ACRE is providing the most dividend income to us at $110. And just like the investment dashboard, all of the data on this dashboard is going to be automatically updated based on what we plug in to our stocks tab. Now it's also important to remember if we jump over to our crypto tab, we can plug in any crypto we want here. Let's say we want to buy Dogecoin and we bought 1,000, we'll say 10,000 Dogecoins at a purchase price of 10 cents. We can see all this data will automatically load in. So if we jump back over to our investment dashboard, we can see our crypto tab right here has updated, and we can see Dogecoin is in our cost versus market value and our growth positions as well. So all of that is completely automated. Now, two of the tools that I think are really important for tracking dividends over time is what I call a dividend calendar and a daily dividend calendar. And this is what our dividend calendar looks like. But essentially, we're gonna be able to see exactly each month how much we were paid out in dividends and how much each individual stock has paid us in dividends over that time period as well. So let's go ahead and talk about how this works. On this spreadsheet, we have a dividend/portfolio recording tab where we can keep track of our dividend payments and our portfolio values. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. And let's say that in January of 23, that we received a dividend payout from O, and we received, we'll say, $65 from them on 1/10/2023. So I'll plug that in and hit enter. And so when we jump over to our dividend calendar, we can now see our position in O right here. And here's the data point that we just plugged in. So this is a great way to track your dividend income, but it also really allows you to track your dividend growth over time. So you can see this is a good example with O right here. Since it pays out monthly, we can see since we're reinvesting our dividends and dividend payments from dividend growth companies increase over time, we can see how our dividend payments have increased from this position. Now remember, this is just example data, but this is a really great way to track dividend growth over time and your dividend income over time. If we jump over to our daily dividend calendar, we can see we have all the data from our 2022 data if you've been using this spreadsheet, so we can see exactly what days we've been paid dividends and what our highest day was. But now we have a new daily dividend calendar for 2023, and we can see the data point that we just plugged in is automatically showing up. And something that's really cool about our daily dividend calendar is, let's say we also in January of 23, we received a payment from Starbucks, and we'll say it was $20 on the same day as our payment from O. I'll hit enter. We'll jump back over to our daily dividend calendar, and you can see since it's on the same day, this day has automatically added those values, so we can see exactly how much we were paid in total on January 10th of 2023. So that's another one of the really cool features and a great way to be tracking your dividend income. It's going to allow you to do more analysis into your dividend portfolio, because maybe you do some research into your 2022 data and realize like, hey, maybe 70% of my dividend income comes within the first 5 days of the month. That's definitely something you would want to take note of. So now we've gone over that, we've gone over our stocks and our crypto and how that is completely automated tracking. Let's talk about our stock watch list for a moment. Let's say there's different stocks that we're interested in keeping up with and we're considering adding to our portfolio. So let's go ahead and say we're interested in keeping track of Caterpillar. I'll hit enter right here, and you can see the data for Caterpillar is going to automatically load in. We have the name, the price, our 500-day change, which that can actually be changed. If we come over here and plug in 365, we can make this a 365 days change chart. We have our days change by percent and dollar amount. We can see how much they pay out in dividends, their dividend yield, and their current payout ratio. And now right here, this is where after I use my stock valuation spreadsheet and find the intrinsic value of these positions, what we can do is we can say, hey, I think the intrinsic value of Caterpillar is more like $280 per share. Now remember, this is just an example, so I'll plug that in right here. Now let's come over here and let's think of another stock that we want to take an example of. Let's say that we want to analyze a company like Meta, and we'll plug that in, and we can say their intrinsic value is more like $120 per share. Now you can see here it's giving us a signal to buy because our intrinsic value is higher than the current trading price for both of these positions. But this is where we want to plug in what our typical margin of safety is. So let's say we want to apply a 15% margin of safety. We'll hit enter right there, and we can see based off of our 15% margin of safety, our Meta on the watch list is no longer giving us a signal to buy, but with our 15% margin of safety, we can see we still do have a buy signal on Caterpillar. So that's a really cool way to keep a watch list. And when you do get that buy signal, if you do buy it, all you would have to do is come over to your stocks position. We could scroll over here and we can plug in Caterpillar. We'll say we bought 5 shares at a purchase price of $220 per share. And again, you can see all of that data is going to automatically load in. We can see that reflected here and on our investment dashboard and our daily dividend dashboard. Now, the last thing we'll look at is our portfolio projections. I get a lot of questions about how exactly this works, but essentially we're able to model out how our portfolio is going to perform over a 30-year period. We're going to have our monthly dividend payout comparison between not reinvesting dividends and when we do reinvest dividends. We have our total dividend income comparison and our total value comparison. So what we want to do is you can see the variables right here that we're going to plug in to be able to project our dividend portfolio. So you can see we want to plug in our starting portfolio size, which if we jump over to our dashboard, we can see after we plugged in these new investments, it's about $13,000. We can come over here to our portfolio projection and we will plug that in. Now we also need to project our price growth rate. If you're more of a dividend growth oriented investor, take a look at your investments. A lot of the times for dividend growth companies, the price growth rate may be a little bit slower since they're more focused on increasing the amount they pay out in dividends over time. But do research into companies. Maybe you decide 6% for a price growth rate for your portfolio will be accurate. Now you want to leave the starting share price the same. This is just a way to model out the future portfolio performance. But now you want to plug in what your contributions will be. And you can see right here, we can pick a monthly contribution or a lump sum contribution. For a lot of people, it will be monthly, so we'll stick with that. And let's say we're planning on projecting or putting in $1,000 per month into our portfolio. You'll just plug in that number right here. Now we want to plug in our dividend growth rate. So again, if you're a dividend growth investor, maybe you decide that your dividend growth for your portfolio will be around 7% after doing research. And then right here, you want to plug in the starting dividend yield for your portfolio. So let's go ahead and jump over to our dividend dashboard. We can see our starting dividend yield is about 4.98%. So we'll come over here to our portfolio projection and we'll plug in 4.98 and hit enter. And based off of that, all of the data in our portfolio projection has automatically updated. And we can see a great snapshot of this on our investment dashboard. If we come down here and scroll down, all of this is automatically loaded. We can see what we can expect 5 years from now with our yearly dividends. When we do reinvest dividends based off of that, we could be receiving around $5,247 in dividend income. We can also see 30 years from now, we could be expecting around $253,000 a year in dividend income. So this is a really cool way to be projecting what your future dividend will look like. Again, you can see what it will look like if you do not reinvest dividends over that time period and if you do reinvest dividends over that time period. So there you go. That is a huge 2023 update to the Do-It-Yourself Investor Toolkit. We have a new chart here. We have some new tracking metrics here. We've updated the daily dividend calendar to stretch into 2023. We have an update with the daily dividend calendar for 2023 as well. I just went ahead and explained exactly how everything works. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you'd like to be able to download this spreadsheet, then you can head over to my Patreon page at the link in the description. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.